Hi, and welcome back. In this demo, we're going to learn about the cast function operator. And before jumping into examples, I would like to provide you some explanation about this important functionality in SQL. Cast operator functions allow you to convert data fields from one type into another. As you know by now that each data field or data column that we work with have several important attributes. And one of the most important attributes of a data field is its type, which is what we call a data type. Now, data types sometimes may need to be converted from one type into another. Sometimes we do that because we need to. Sometimes we do it because sometimes we do that because we need to put that as part of a permanent data type. And sometimes we need to do that in order to perform analysis. Now, analyses may require you to manipulate data uh, in 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 the types and the forms that are needed to serve the purpose or to enable you to perform the analysis. Now, for example, if you have, let's say, a uh, a string variable that, however, and that variable that you have is, let's say, is the value is a number data, but still it's string variable, right? You could not make use of it if you want to do analysis, if you want to do, if we want to calculate between and like let's say 9 plus 5, right? And you have two, let's say, or let's say 9 plus 5, and you have two values that are, in principle, they in real value they are numbers, right? But they are, for some reason, they are integer, they are string variable type. Now, if you perform a summation, a calculation between these two, which is a basic form of analysis, right? You will not be able to get a result back because it's in the string mode. It's in the string data type. Now, in this case, you will need to convert these two data types into a numeric data type, either let's say decimal, depending on what tool you're using, decimal points, integers, you know, in order for you to be able double integers, there are a variety of them, right? But maybe in this case an integer because there's no decimal points, and that will serve the purpose of your calculation or analysis overall, for you to be able to perform that. Now, same thing with number. Let's say you have number, let's say 9, right? And then you want to convert this 9 as an integer into a string variable. Now, why would you do that, right? Why would you change a numerical value to string while you know that numerical value can be used for calculation, but a numerical value in string form will not be cannot be used for calculation? Well, there are times that you may need to convert an actual numerical data type value, into string or maybe into other forms of data types are not that are not related but in principle to that value, right? But you may need it because you need to perform some analysis that require that temporary data type. And for example, if you wanted to, let's say, and a lot of programming tools, like if you want to put two strings together, right? Like for example, if you have one variable that says the income is, right, and then the second variable that you have is, for example, an integer that's, let's say, 500. Now, if you want to concatenate these two, you will not be able because one of them is in a string form data type, and the other one is an integer data type. Now, for you to be able to sum these two together, you may need to convert, although it's against the nature of this value here, right? But you may have to convert this into string so that you will be able to concatenate these two together. Now, if you change it to a string, you know, either using Excel, Python, or SQL, whatever you're using, then you're actually making these two data types compatible for that concatenation calculation, for the concatenation operation. And you'll be able to put them together. Otherwise, it will not work because you're putting a numerical value next to a string value. That's going to create an error. So just wanted to make sure that I covered this and the explanation of data type conversion. But that does not summarizes the entire purpose of data casting or data type casting or data type conversion, because it's situational. So you'll be you there are a lot of there will be a lot of occasions that will require you to perform data type casting. So it just does not limit you to just changing between numerical to string. Sometimes it could be actually forgot. It could be actually string variable. Let's say a date. Let's say in a string form. For example, you have January, right? Let's say you have one, and then you have dash, and you have January misspelled, and then let's say you have two, then you have thousand, right? And then 23, something like that. Now, if you were to convert this into a date time variable, data type, you would not be able to do it because this is not compatible. This will not be converted. Or let's say if you have let's say nine written in alphabets and you want to convert this into integer, this will not be possible. So this is why it's very important. Maybe something I should have mentioned at the beginning. It's as much as it's important for you to know and to be able to convert from one data type into another, depending on the necessity. It's also very important for you to analyze both of your data types, your source data type and your target data type. Now, if your source data type is this and you want to convert it to a target data type, let's say this one to a date type, then it will not work because you have something that's very difficult for your computer to read. You have one dash and you have January misspelled, and you have 2000 written in alphabets, misspelled, and then 23 in numbers, or even nine. So nine here is in the string form, right? There's no way that for your tool to for the computer to recognize this and then convert this into an integer, just because it says nine, it cannot be converted into an integer of nine. So therefore, it's important for you not only, again, familiarize yourself with the data type conversion ability and functionality, but also for you to analyze between these two, source and target data types. Think about, is this something that is convertible or not, right? Is this something that you can convert or not? Now, if this was like nine in the numbers, then it's convertible to data type. Let's say if this was, let's say, if this was like, let's say, uh, January, let's say January 1, right? 2023. Of course, this can be converted data type. Let's say if this was like January, let's say the separator was like, let's say a slash, let's say 09, and then next separator could be like a dash 2023. This is gonna still be converted. So there's redundancy in this, right? But it's workable. It's fixable. It, this is resolvable. But if you have something as I showed earlier, where you have letters combined with like numbers, letters misspelled, then that conversion will not be a successful conversion. Therefore, in short, in summary, once again, I'm going to mention that, before you do your data type conversion to target data type, make sure that your source data type is also compatible for that conversion. Now let's jump into the examples. I'm going to explore some examples to build upon what I was explaining earlier. I'll also show you how you can use the cast function and operator. There are actually two types of cast functionalities I'm going to explain here. The first one is the cast function that's kind of universal in the SQL language that you can use on actually all of the tools, maybe with a little bit of tweaking. When I say tools, I mean relation database management tools like Oracle, SQL Server, that kind of stuff. Maybe some tweaking depending on what tool you're using for the cast function. And the next one is the cast function that's special for PostgreSQL. and it's called, and I want to call it cast operator because it's just just an operator, and it's very it's more like a customized special PostgreSQL cast operator that's very exclusive for PostgreSQL. So let's start with the first one, which is the cast function. So the table I'm going to use for the sake of this example is going to be the trade balance. So let me show you a gist of what this table looks like. Trade balance. So I have three columns here, one, two, three, four, five. Sorry, five columns, one, two, three, four, five. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert one of these columns into like which is integer into string variable data type, and it's into string data type. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with select statement. I'm going to say I'm going to bring all of them together. Matter of fact, let me just convert this one column first, and I'll put them all together as well. So I'm going to say cast, right? This is the syntax. You say cast, and then you open the parentheses, and then you specify the name. The first argument that you pass is going to be the name of the column or field, whatever you're gonna call it, all right? Which is export in this case, and then we're going to specify what should be the data type. So in this case, we're going to change it to a character variable, right? So it's going to say export exports, which is this one. This column should be now converted into character, right? Into string variable, and then maybe just name it as converted to string exports exports converted to string, right? And then lastly, you're gonna pass in the name of the table that this operation should be performed on. Go ahead and run this, and as you can see, as a result, um, all of a couple of things changes here. The first, the biggest change you can see outstanding is the name of the variable, the name of the data field, name of the column, which changed from what it used to be, which was again, what was it? Integer, right here, integer. It got converted to character to string, right? Character variable. It also moved to the left. So integers being numerical data is going to be on the right. Numerical data is always on the right. But as soon as we change this to string, it moves to the left. In fact, let me just put them all side by side so you can see the difference yourself. So how many columns do we have here? ID, country, exports, imports, GDP in billion, and then lastly cast. And now you can see them all side by side. Oh, what did I do? ID, country, exports, oh, imports. I made a mistake here with the name, typo. There you go. As you can see, this is the converted to string data type for exports. As you can see, the changes are outstanding. The data type name is changed from integer to character, and then also the values move from the right side of the cell to the left side, which is the characteristics of a string data type. There you go. That was how to perform it using the cast function. Now, what I would like to do is I would like to create a new table out of this one, clone this table with this new added column so that I can change this back into string just to be able to show you how to convert from character back to string, back to integer, sorry, apologize. So let's go ahead and create a new table. I'm going to call this table create table. Let's say I'm going to call it trade balance version 2. And then just put as, and this should do it. There you go. Our new table must now be created. I've created a lot of tables here for this for the demo. So trade balance version 2 is now here. So let me go ahead and bring it here for trade balance version 2. There you go. We're all here. So what I would like to do now is I would like to convert. right? This the exports converted to string back to integer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same functionality, right? I'm going to use the same functionality, except that this time I'm going to pass an integer data type. So let me go ahead and copy and paste it over here, right? Except that this time the name of the table will change to version 2 because we are changing the version 2 table. So the ID will come, exports will come, import GDP, and then for the cast, we're going to say this is the name of the field, data field. We're going to say exports. And when I say data field, column, variable, I mean the same things. I'm just using them interchangeably. I'm used to using the word variable because I've done a lot of statistical analysis, and it's a good practice to call you know uh, the field that you have as a variable. I've gotten used to it. I also use the word column when it comes to Excel, more like structured relational spreadsheets. And I also use the word field because a lot of programming tools use the word field. So between the field, column, and variables, you find me using them interchangeably. So exports will now this exports field will now be changed to exports converted to string will now be converted into an integer, right? And then I'm also gonna change the name to converted to, matter of fact, let me just say exports reverted to int. There you go. So on the other table, we converted the exports to string, and now in here, I'm going to revert it back to an integer, right? And that's what I put as the alias. Let's go ahead and run this. And there you go. You can see now that in our new version, right? In fact, let me also bring this from V2, right? So from V2, let me also bring the converted to string as well, which is this one. So let me go ahead and bring in exports convert to string so that you can see all of them side by side. There you go. So as you can see in here, I put the I use the cast function to say to tell SQL, hey, change this column, this field, right, back to integer, and then name it the new alias, which is exports and revert to integer, which is this. It took the data type of integer. Also, the characteristics of the data type you can see is that it moves from the left, being integer, to the right, now being a numerical data type. So that was the first part of the demo for the examples where I showed you how to perform cast using the function. Now let's look at the cast operator, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use version 2, right? I'm going to use version 2 to pretty much do the same thing. I'm going to change this time. Maybe I'm going to change uh, GDP in billion to integer, and then change it back from integer to sorry, GDP in billion from integer to string, and then change it back from string to integer. But this time I'm going to use the cast operator. So let's go ahead and select the statement and paste it here. And when I cast, I'm going to say change this GDP in billion as varchar, and also name it as converted GDP. That's it. You're going to see, oh, well, I'm still using cast function, right? I'm not supposed to. I was going to the second part was cast using special PostgreSQL cast operator. So I'm supposed to use the cast operator. There's no more cast function involved here. So I'm supposed to use the cast operator. So the cast operator is very easy. All you have to do is you have to put the double colon, right? And then provide your data type. And itself is casting. So with a double colon, you're going to specify that look between this variable, whatever data type it has as source data type, I would like to change it to this target data type, which will be varchar right there. So let's go ahead and run this, make sure it works before I give more explanation, and it does work. So as you can see, our GDP in billion is now converted from integer data type to character data type, string data type, where you can see the data type change here. The name of data type is now character. It also moved from the right side of the cell to the left side of the cell, which is the indication that it is now a string. And what did we do? We used these Postgres special cast operator, which is this. And maybe I should just put it here. Parameter, right? Or field colon data type. That's pretty much all you need to do. Let's uh, let's now change. Let's just now change this the converted string back to integer using the cast operator. Let's go ahead, copy this, and pay good attention because I'm going to get rid of cast. There's no more cast. Remember, there's no more cast. So you're going from this column, and then you're saying exports converted to string, and all you have to do is no more as, nothing else. Two colons, and that's it. And then maybe this time call this converted with uh, cast operator. Right. So again, we're converting exports converted string, which is a string, back to integer using the double colon, which is the cast operator. Let's go ahead and run this. And there you go. It's now changed from exports converted string from string form back to integer form. As you can see, the indication is that it moved from the left side to the right side. It also did the data type name change from the character to integer. So just to summarize this video in a nutshell, there are two ways you can convert data types. Well, first of all, make sure that every instance of a data type that you're converting from one type to another, it must be compatible and reasonable for that data conversion. Otherwise, you will have error. And then secondly, there's cast function that's universal across SQL language and the database management systems. Although some may require some slight changing and tweaks. The second one is using the PostgreSQL special cast operator, which is this colon. And I showed you how to perform them. This is it. If you got value out of my tutorials overall, please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. As always, thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.